Cabal culture is a disastrous smell of rot that contaminates the air of civilization. When you live with a bunch of thieves baptized as cabal who never get tired of thieving and incontinent, you never get far from the smell of excrement. Essentially, the name is bereft of history and empty of responsible personalities. It exudes the air of courtesan, brutal in nature, soulless and domineering, defined as an obnoxious group of gang involved in a coup, plot, an exigent, exclusive and influential group. In all its ramifications, these are morbid political influencers that work with a precision that is extraordinary to either enhance their selfish interest or control the government with an underhanded tactics. They usually operated by their own rules. They are sly, secretive, rude, caustic, stubborn, resentful, and mean-spirited. In our society, we fright of gomas, zombies, undead, and drullies. The existence of these gangsters becomes permissible because of our law, which is twisted of shape to serve a sick civilization. Thus, they become magnificently wealthy, exceeding their ill-gotten resources through incredible corrupt practices and intimidating of the architecture of governance. Nigeria is a graduate school, for every citizen has graduated from every stage of existence but the last, which they live out day after day under the reckless stewardship of our insensitive, conscienceless leaders. We have graduated from petroleum subsidy, devaluation, duplicative taxation, contemptible insecurity, persistent hunger, incurable corruption, debasement of human dignity, and despairing hopelessness. And when will these leaders and their cabals do their duty and rescue the citizens of this country from the obscene savagery of insecurity and the understandable violence produced by their own inaction? The smothering environment portrays that public patience had gone dangerously thin. The docile people of Nigeria are in reality getting tired of their docility. All the fundamental values of existence has retrogressed in their patience. The old tradition of trust and good neighborliness, former habit of extending warmth and generosity to all, are eroding daily under the corrosive onslaught of multidimensional poverty, unemployment, and aggressive hunger. Fear, despair, and suspicion are poisonous to the soul of our society, for they turn neighbor against neighbor and make incredible mockery of civility. There is an atmosphere of failed resurrection in Nigeria today. The green spectres of fear, despair, hunger, and suspicion run increasingly rampant among us. These are poisonous tools of tragedy and disaster. We are in a fluid present in Nigeria, where clear-sightedness never guarantees perfect vision. Our leaders who award causes are so hidden that a blind man has a better chance of seeing their antics than a good-sighted person. The unprepossessing attitudes of our judiciary, the last hope of the common man, incongruous with the debilitating predicament. The Independent National Electoral Commission, a citadel of the grotesque, the unpredictable, and the lawlessness. Is there no place in this country where there is something nice under the sun, where what we see is what we get, so to speak? The short answer is absolute no. Nigeria is supposed to be marked with big road sign at every point of ingress, warning, corruption in progress, pass at their own risk. All over the world, the existence of cabal is recognized, but in different idiosyncrasy. The cabal of Japan, composed of billionaires who are self-made, captains of industries, and politicos who are patriotic and will die for their country. They are domineering, intimidating, and utterly competent in their bid to secure the best for their country. All of them reliable personalities that are punctilious, orderly, compulsively patriotic, utterly accountable, and desperately organized. When the American stock exchange market at Wall Street went berserk and attempted to cripple the Japanese yen, this group of positive cabal rallied around and saved their country from downward slide In Russia, the cabals are bosom friends of Putin, who are extremely wealthy and patriotic enough to use their money to support the Kremlin. In USA, the cabals are men of fundamental values, wealthy and acquainted with ethics, philosophy, the responsibility of the fortunate elite to the less fortunate in the society. They always hold retreats on virtue and social behavior of the responsible people and how to bear civilized feeling of affection for their fellow man. They are devoid of the utter haughty-taughty of the Nigerian cabal system. Nigeria is in a terrible distress. The country's ills go far beyond the depredation of the subsidy, cabal or poverty. There is no one capable of recognizing the force that has come to bear on Nigeria. Everything in Nigeria is charged with negativity. What exists in other lands and are used for betterment of the society becomes a tremendous mystery, and this effect and traces hover everywhere about us. Everything in the world happens for a purpose, and the purpose is always rational. It's a matter of pure chemistry or coincidence. If they aren't rational, we will never discover anything at all, and we will never know what is going on. The essential purpose of a cabal is to have qualified successful elites that will bring their credentials into positive use. But here in Nigeria, their gregarious facade conceals limitless capacity for treachery. They form comprehensive pests, becoming ongoing irritants that spectacularly bury all good policies of the government in order to manipulate them into their selfish ends. A quintessential situation was during the illness of former President Musa Yar'Adua. In the horrible capacity for deceit and corruption, they practically concealed the health condition of the president and forged his signature to extortionate public funds. Even when he eventually died, they hid his death from the citizens, carrying out the functions of the president as though nothing had happened. But rumors had a way of taking root, just like habit. Though the atmosphere was replete with rumor that are steady somnolent buzz of a great many flies, the cabals remained adamant. It took the bravery of a woman minister, to unravel the horrible secret. A tremendous mystery has inhabited this country, but the faithless citizens have come to observe, register, and record the impressions after images left in the comment trial of the mysterious rumor. It speaks from the details, therefore it lingers in its own wake, and therefore surrounds all Nigerians. One secondary definition of disaster is the awkward feeling of things in general have just gotten, or very shortly will get worse. In a sedative society, such occurrences like Yar'Adua's episode is historically regarded as accident of structure that means nothing. The perpetrators are supposed to be languishing in prison, but not here, where lawlessness takes root and lost rents. Some of them are still cabals of today, yielding the same painful, selfish manipulation that have kept the country in constant tragedy. You have to be a real bleeding heart to applaud dunces that do nothing but destroy the country without mercy. They are internal vagrants, creatures of shabby understanding and utter ego, of endless journeys resentfully taken, collectors of wounds and injuries caused by the service, and spies with no cause higher than themselves. They usually appear most when the country is bleeding and in desperate need of a tourniquet to bleach the wound. Instead of finding a panacea, they deceive the president that all is well. Cabals commit secret rampage, unofficial wars, and other evil deeds for selfish purposes. They are a problem, a national embarrassment. All that fiesta sham and dangerous optimism, contentious of small mercies, and infantile pity that affect men. Economic independence is the foundation of freedom, and this is essentially achieved through qualitative education of the youths, regarded as a feature. The cabal distills the freedom of the youths by suppressing the budgets meant for the penitent areas of human development such as health and education into gross frivolities. The worst that can happen to a country happens when money meant for economical freedom is wasted on non-existent such as luxuries, extravagant salaries, perambulating on unnecessary overseas trips, and other deadly wasteful conspiracies. Such absurd disaster in government priorities are the very breeding grounds of tragedy. Our universities today are colossally underfunded and in effect churning out semi-illiterate mediocres who are incapable of defending their causes in the open world. The best they could afford are fake and dubious half-baked certificates that couldn't define who they are. Consequently, unemployment has become rife, not only because of government inability to provide jobs, but the very fact that these youths are not properly grounded to practice their areas of education in the outside world. The air of power burnt with misuse has spread a sulphurous odor through our stable society, wrapped up with the primitive brain of few men. These are sanctified criminals who robbed institutions and citizens of their right to exist. They looked with perfect equanimity at the wave of human flotsam, the dregs of the society whom they have created. These are Nigerian citizens blighted by poverty and stultified family life. Cabals are impervious to the sovereign of the masses. Most of them are bigots, devoid of any nationalistic ideal and corrupted by voracious love of money. Nobody has access to the president except to pass through the bureaucratic hurdle and will be utterly bereaved of what discussion to hold with the president. They seem to float through different buttresses of authority and even have authority over the vice president of the country. Employment of power to further the functioning of the society is not their creed. Rather, they use power to further their greed and self-interest. While other smaller countries have made wide leap in all ramifications, political and sociological lives have remained stationary in Nigeria. The futile machinations of these geriatrics that refuse to give up to the younger generation holds the country in ransom. All the bucolic ideas, purgatorial and utter obliteration to modern civilization, the continent of debased fundamental belief and aberration in furtherance of civilized society. The obnoxious tinkle of unease in Nigeria is fast turning into a sinking feeling. The rebuttal of change is a fruit of the senility immune cabals that hold adamant contumacy to have a new Nigeria. To create a modern civilization, every Nigerian must keep his or her chin high and walk around the self-made mud puddle without looking back. It must be a sort of rapture, flooded with a new Nigeria to come, transcendent and rigorously pursued with our soul, energy, and blood. We must eschew the poverty-inspired paranoia of receiving pittance at the point of the election and move with a moment of confidence, a comfortable clarity towards our golden goal.